Hello people of BookTube, Dane here, and today I'm going to take a quick look at City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare, which obviously everyone has read at this point. So I guess this is more of my reflections upon it than a review, but I will do my best. In case you're wondering why I'm wearing black nail varnish, that is a remnant of my punk rock tag. I'll link to that below. Yeah. The less said about that, the better. So I read this book as a buddy read with Kitkatscanread and Damian Terriquez. By the way, I'm sorry, I'm going to move this because my head is being cut out, but I don't know what to do. Here we go, that's better. So we're basically going through all of the Cassandra Clare books in publication order, I believe, and we're going to do one a month and basically catch up with everybody. So it's weird because I'm kind of reading Cassandra Clare, I guess from a writing point of view more than anything. I'm kind of curious as to what the big deal is, I guess. I mean, I read City of Bones and I did enjoy it, and I've seen the series on Netflix. I mean, I'm not going to say they're the best things ever, but they're alright. Like, and actually I do think that I see a lot of people on BookTube who just write Cassandra Clare off, and I don't know, she's alright. She's alright. It's like Dan Brown. I've used this comparison before. I'll read a new Dan Brown book eventually, I guess, and I'm kind of curious as well because I want to see, like, as a writer, I want to see what people are relating to and what is making people spend their money, I guess. So anyway, I'll read the blurb. Haunted by her past, Clare is dragged deeper into New York City's terrifying underworld of demons and shadow hunters. But can she control her feelings for a boy who can never be hers? That is the blurb, by the way. There's not much there to it, but you know, I'm not going to go into the plot because I did zone in and out a little bit. Towards the end it started to drag. What I do like about Cassandra Clare though is that she does sometimes hit you out of the blue with something that sounds really deep and that I think is really deep. Some of the dialogue bits. So I say that and then I'm going to go to this bit. So here's a quote from Jace. He said, "I don't want to be a man. I want to be an angst-ridden teenager who can't confront his own inner demons and takes it out verbally on other people instead." Which is A, a great description of Jace as a character, and B, kind of her target audience. No offense if you're watching and you're a teenager. I mean, I was angst-ridden as a teenager as well, I still am. I guess in this book you get to see more of the process of Clare becoming an actual shadow hunter as well, which is cool. We get Imogen Herondale as well, and I know that Herondale is an important surname. I guess I've kind of got a different experience on reading this to most people because I've kind of seen a lot of people talk about it on BookTube, and I think most people, when they start talking about it on BookTube, obviously they've already read it, and it's one of those things that everyone's already read, and I'm late to the party, and I don't know if that, I can kind of see foreshadowing, especially with Simon's character in this book. If you know what's going to happen later, which I do because of the TV show, then you see a lot of foreshadowing. We have a bit where Jace is like, vile? Who says vile? What does that even mean? I say vile all the time. There were some little things that bothered me, and it always, I think it is going to happen with Cassandra Clare again. Even die-hard Cassandra Clare fans tend to say that, you know, she's got a lot better in the years since this was published. I mean, this was what, I think 2008? 2008 in Britain anyway. She said that something tasted like poison, and for me as a reader, I'm just like, what poison? Some poisons are tasteless. Like, I think, is it cyanide that tasted like almonds? So I guess almonds, which is nice, but then he had a negative reaction to it, so I guess he doesn't like almonds. I don't know. She should have clarified which poison they were talking about. There's a point at which Alec makes a phone call, and you just know who he's calling. It can only be one person. Quotes from Dante, Dante's Inferno. It's sort of split into different sections, which is quite nice, because it does make you feel as though you're powering through. Again, like I said, the last 100 pages, they were a slog. I've got to mark this down for the last 100 pages. But, you know, it's cool that it reflected Dante. Read the Inferno, so that's nice. Simon quotes Dungeons and Dragons. He talks about alignments, which is cool. I'm down with alignments. I'm a Slytherin, so I guess I'm probably chaotic evil. There was a bit where, again, in the narrative, it described Isabel as being hard to like. And I don't know about that because I felt like that was telling me how to feel. I quite like Isabel. I think she's a badass. I thought she was pretty cool. And then she said Clary should start utilizing a bit of your natural feminine superiority. The word utilizing as well, who uses that? She did use the word creative truth-telling, which for me is fake news. And this was 2008, so Cassandra Clare predicted fake news. Somebody dies twice. It's kind of sad as well, because if you've read this, you know Simon gets friend-zoned all the time. And he says, the truth is, sorry, this is Clary speaking. She says, the truth is that I love Simon like I should love you. And I wish he was my brother and you weren't. But I can't do anything about that, and neither can you. Oh, that is the ultimate friend zone, and possibly some spoilers, but everybody knows what happens. We get a reference to the blood death, which I like. I like the phrasing of that, the blood death. It's quite a cool phrase. There's a moment when she's really sad and she's looking at Jace and she says, he was beautiful, she thought miserably. Beautiful, and there was nothing there in him. Not an expression, not a slant of cheekbone or shake of jaw or curve of lips that bespoke any family resemblance to herself or her mother at all. This is hard to read out loud. It doesn't sound as good out loud as when you're reading it in your head. But anyway, I just thought it was a strange thing to be thinking about when she's meant to be really upset. I like that Simon had been a vegetarian since he was 10. I have a vegetarian V symbol on my wrist because I am a veggie. But I do think, I was talking to Katie and Damian while we were reading this, and I was saying I think I'm most like Simon out of all the characters. And I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know, if you've read these books and you're still watching this video, then let me know in the comments who you think I'm most like, I guess. At the moment I'm wearing black nail varnish, which I think makes me feel like Magnus Bane. There was an interesting comparison between kind of coming out to your parents as a vampire and coming out as being gay, and I thought it was actually really well handled, and it was. Like, it worked for me. And along that theme, it also gets compared to, I guess, homophobia and racism. I mean, vampires and werewolves have always hated each other. And I guess there is a lot about the way we interact as different races and different people and different historical backgrounds and all this kind of stuff that Cassandra Clare does port really well into the Shadowhunters world. I mean, I know Bright on Netflix got a lot of flack for not doing it very well, which it didn't do it very well. It was okay. I mean, I still watched it, but I think the use of the Shadowhunters and the Downworlders and the vampires and the werewolves and all of this kind of stuff in Cassandra Clare's work is a very it works as a way of kind of referencing the different races and different, you know, biases we have as a race. Fucking rambling now. I had some beer. I'm gonna drink some more beer. By the way, this book is so much more fun if you drink beer while you read it. What I, as a writer anyway, have to admire is the characterization and all this stuff. The characters are great. Then we get about 2/3 of the way in. This is when it started to flag. What, my notes here. No idea what's happening. There's a reference to Paradise Lost, which I haven't read, and I've been meaning to read because it's basically what Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials trilogy is based on. And I know this, and I haven't read Paradise Lost, but I do know it's basically the story of Adam and Eve, so I want to get to it at some point, even though I'm not religious. I don't think you need to be. That's why I was talking about Magnus earlier. He gets described as having like glittery hair and all this stuff, and it's funny because the idea of a glittery vampire, and Simon isn't a glittery vampire really, he's just an incompetent vampire. And then you got Magnus Bane, who's a glittery warlock. It's great. Magnus says, I was alive when the Dead Sea was just a lake that was feeling poorly. So there are, like, that is a good line, I think. That reminds me of Terry Pratchett. I have just compared Cassandra Clare to Terry Pratchett, who's my most read author as well. And it's deserving for little lines like that. Maybe not as a whole, you know, but bloody Magnus Bane, there is a teenage girl starts crying and he's shocked by it. And it doesn't fit with his character for me. He would be bored, not shocked. There's a bit of dialogue here. She didn't call you a criminal exactly. No, I'm just a very naughty boy. Nice little Monty Python reference there. Jace gets this seeming superpower, I guess. Jace learns to break the laws of physics in this book, basically. A note here, and I'm not going to tell you about who it is because it's a spoiler, but I have a note here about one of the characters that just says, stop dying! There's a big bit where it's a huge convenience as well, where basically Clary learns to do a rune, which is big news. And she happens to learn this exact rune that nobody even knew existed, that they then need at the end, and you can see it coming. They're like, oh no, how are we going to defeat this monster? It's like, yeah, you're going to use Clary's one rune. Her one rune to rule them all. We got all biblical mentions of Cain and Abel. Another note saying bored now. That's two saying bored now in one book. I do like how weapons have names. I thought that was cool. And I'd kind of want to know more about that. I want to kind of know the history of the blades. But maybe that's like that's because I've read too much Tolkien. As the Inquisitor dies, she realises something that I know is going to happen. To do with Clary and Jace's relationship, I guess. That I'm not going to spell out here, but everybody knows what it is. But she dies, and at the end, she kind of saves Jace, even though
Actually, that's a massive spoiler. That is about as big a spoiler as the thing I was trying to hide there. But anyway, that's what happens at the end of this book. Enjoy. But the thing is it's explored why she did that, why she saved Jace. And it's foreshadowing. She saved Jace because she realised something that hasn't been revealed to us as the reader yet, which was nicely handled. I'm going to read a big long paragraph that Valentine read. By the way, from my perspective, Valentine is not really like an iconic bad guy. I think the good guys on this are better written than the bad guys. Valentine's fine, but he's no Voldemort, you know. Which I guess is the logical comparison. But he does get some great dialogue. And I guess this as a reader makes you think about race and racism. Luke's as human as I am, Clary flung at him. I didn't notice these weird things when I was reading it, but flung at him is a weird thing. You can't say that anyway. My own editor has pointed out to me, you can't do stuff like that. Like, you can't say, you know, Luke's as human as I am, Clary laughed. Unless she's going, Luke's as human as I am. Like, it just doesn't work. Luke's as human as I am, Clary flung at him. You're just a bigot. Oh no, Valentine said. I'm anything but that. He moved a little closer to her, and she stepped in front of the sword, blocking it from his view. You think of me that way because you look at me and at what I do through the lens of your mundane understanding of the world. Mundane humans create distinctions between themselves, distinctions that seem ridiculous to any shadow hunter. Their distinctions are based on race, religion, national identity, any of a dozen minor and irrelevant markers. To mundanes these seem logical, for though mundanes cannot see, understand or acknowledge the demon worlds, still somewhere buried in their ancient memories they know that there are those that walk this earth that are other. They do not belong, that mean any harm and destruction. Since the demon threat is invisible to mundanes, they must assign the threat to others of their own kind. They place the face of their enemy onto the face of their neighbour, and thus are generations of misery assured. Yeah. Valentine does go on a little bit. Cute scenes with Alec and Magnus. I must say, I think Alec and Magnus are probably my favourite fictional couple, and that is a big thing to say. But usually I don't care about romance, but I guess in these books, it's kind of part of the storyline. And if romance is a part of the storyline, I can get on board with it. It's only when romance is just the point of the book and nothing happens, then I kind of lose my shit, you know. So yeah, I don't know how I did as a review of this. I mean, City of Ashes has been reviewed to death on BookTube anyway. So like I say, I don't even know if I'm going to post this video. So if you're watching it, I guess I have. Yeah, it was fun. It wasn't as good as City of Bones actually for me, because I think both of these books, they've dragged a bit near the end, but City of Bones dragged a bit less. This actually, it had to pull the rating down for me, and I'm going to give it a 3.75 out of 5. On Amazon's terms, 3 is okay and 4 is good, and it was almost good. It was, yeah, it was good to start with, and then the end of it dragged it back down. What can I say? So anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Let me know what you thought of this book, and please don't share spoilers for after this point, because I haven't read after this point. I've rambled enough anyway, so thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon for more bookish videos. Thanks a lot. Bye.